My name is Riley Kirby, and I will be discussing the review of Gone Girl and how it analyzes how coupledom is the real fear that fantasizes power within relationships. The review, What Gone Girl is Really About, is written by Joshua Rothman, a writer for The New Yorker. In Rothman's review of Gone Girl, he delves into the fact that Gone Girl is divided by postmodern fiction and genre fiction in the way it is unreal and in some ways symbolizes reality. He points out that in postmodern narratives there are usually heroes and villains that are not only people or characters but stories. Rothman points out that Gone Girl is this postmodern narration of different perspectives between two characters. And through these perspectives, we learn the dark side of coupledom and the fantasies it provides to the audience, as Rothman states. Joshua Rothman finds Gone Girl fascinating because of the fact that it shows victimization and how coupledom supports that there may always be a victim when there is coupledom. He stresses that it is unsettling to be pointed out by the film, but it is the reality of the darkness within coupledom. Rothman mentions that it can be a fantasy world where people believe that coupledom is dark but fulfilling. He furthers his review by comparing it to the film Fight Club, which is directed by the same man, David Fincher. In some ways, he is able to connect the meaning of coupledom to the message of Fight Club. He goes on to say that, like in Fight Club, Gone Girl's main characters are aware of their positions in the world and maybe too aware. Instead of questioning manliness, the film Gone Girl questions the realness of coupledom and what compromises the film makes fictional to avoid the reality of being in a relationship and what it is really like to be in a relationship. He notes that power within the relationship between Nick and Amy is a big part of building a fantasy of what marriage is to the audience. Rothman states Gone Girl demands two bifurcated people, each of whom must play both the victim and the aggressor, and the mythos of coupledom is more complex and troubled than the mythos of manliness. Although Rothman really delves into the complex relationship between Nick and Amy, he also explains that they both play a role in the glorification of coupledom within the film. He constitutes that coupledom entails a victim due to their being an aggressor through the roles of a relationship. In this case, both characters are seen as a victim and an aggressor, but because of coupledom, the audience may see the film as a guideline to any deep-rooted expectations of what marriage is. Joshua Rothman plays with the fact that marriage is a fantasy itself, but the film fantasizes the darkness of what people become when they play into the fantasy for themselves or even their partner. Coupledom is a goal for most people, and the film Gone Girl explores the role and what the role of perception plays within a relationship. We see that Nick and Amy play characters that each other wish they were, but they're also still self-aware that they are able to keep playing those roles, but think about themselves as well. I personally agree with what Rothman says about the film and how the roles of characters create a dark fantasy for the audience. It displays complexities within a relationship, but shows the demise of oneself of keeping the facade of a picture-perfect marriage. The characters are so consumed with being perfect that they show the reality of coupledom through their narratives within the film. Gone Girl is fascinating and also intriguing, but it is a channel for the audience to create dark fantasies of coupledom that may be unsettling due to the power dynamic portrayed within the film. Joshua Rothman really captures the toxicity of coupledom and how an audience may be influenced to think about the darkness behind the perfect picture marriage that people portray in reality. That is the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.